Welcome into our Bears draft recap and the state of the Chicago Bears. I'm David Kaplan, and I get to talk to the great Lance Briggs, my partner. All right, so I talked to Ryan Poles this morning.
Okay.
And he said, I stayed loyal to my board. All I did was take who's the best guy on the board when we're picking. Do you subscribe to that philosophy? Some people are mad that he didn't take a wide receiver.
I agree with him. I think you don't reach to satisfy number one, the outside. I think you do what's best for your team, and if that fit doesn't happen through that draft, then you find another way to do it. But I really liked those first two picks. It made a lot of sense, and especially his reasoning and him saying, "Hey, I believe these are day one starters and potentially, all pro type players, and when you have that, you don't pass that up to reach to get somebody that you don't feel can reach that, especially in the time that you have for those guys."
All right. So they did take a wide receiver.
Yes.
They felt was the best guy on the board. That was in round 3, but in round 2, they went corner out of Washington, who's never had a penalty in his college career. Pretty amazing. And then they got safety out of Penn State. Do you like going defense there?
I'm a defensive guy, Cap. Yep. I'm not going to argue with that. And I think that if that the best player available or one of the near best players available was a wide receiver that he thought was that kind of caliber or an offensive lineman, I'm sure he would have gone in that direction. The players that he picked, him and his staff, they truly believe that these guys can be difference makers right now.
So do you think, I personally believe they're going to finish dead last in the division, and that's okay. They let Mack go. They let Robinson go. They didn't re-sign Akeem Hicks. Like, there's a bunch of dudes that went out the door. James Daniels. Okay, if you're picking that lane, stick with it. If you finish last and you pick in the top 5, I'm cool with it. There are other people that still think Matt Nagy was so bad as a coach that they're going to be good anyway. What do you think?
I think, listen, there's a lot of change happening. There's pieces that are being put together, and the record in year 1 may not reflect the changes that are happening, but I think more importantly than anything else, you want to see some sort of progress, happen during the season, some sort of cohesiveness, the way that defensively they make some big plays, offensively they move the ball. You want to see different spurts of things for the future to come. They're going into a new defensive scheme. I remember when Lovey came in, the first year, what were we, 6-11 or 6-12, 6-11,
5-11.
5-11. Yeah, we were 5-11. But by the end of that year, we knew moving into the next year, we had something. So I think of this upcoming year and kind of reflective of that year.
So next year at this time, they will have had their number 1 pick back, and they'll have 146 million so far in cap space. So we could be seeing a very similar renaissance, like Lovey went 5-11, and then all of a sudden from 5-11, I think he went 11-5 the next
the very next year. So the player that everybody didn't want or wanted us to get this year, there will be a player that's available next year that we'll be able to get and everybody will be happy with. So things unfold the way they're supposed to, not the way that we want them to. And so I think that's the expectation from the inside out rather than the outside in.
The interesting thing at looking at this team, and again, I think that's fine. If you pick this lane, you're going to be bad. To be epically bad, get a really high pick, reset it. Do you like the changeover from 3-4 to the cover 2 that you played in? Is that still, do you think, a great defense in today's time?
You know that I love that defensive scheme, Cap.
Yes, okay? I do.
Some of the best defenses last year ran a 4-3. Indianapolis Colts, the Buffalo Bills. Okay, the Buffalo Bills were seconds away from being in the Super Bowl. Okay, then they did that off of great defense and being able to run the ball, running not only with their running back, they ran the ball with their quarterback. Okay, and look who's in a situation where we might be able to just be able to run with our quarterback as well. Okay, I love the situation that the Bears are in. I love that they're going to the 4-3, the Tampa 2 that I'm so familiar with. And you know what the Indianapolis coach did so well is they got after it and they took the ball away. Now, if you can take the ball away, think about how many more opportunities Justin Fields is going to have to put points on the board.
I talked to Ryan Poles, as I said this morning, and he said, we're all in on Justin Fields. So my follow-up was, okay, are you all in now? And then we'll see where we're at in a year. Are you all in? And he said, listen to me, all in. This kid has been an amazing leader. His work ethic has been off the charts, and that is our quarterback moving forward. What do you think of that?
I love it. I love that. I think also that, you know, where you can take Justin Fields, you know, in this near future with what he can do and what he can gift us as a player and a leader. I don't see it all unfolding in the year one Matt Eberflus. You know, there are things you're going to have to do based off of our personnel to protect him. You know, what they did in Indianapolis, they ran the ball a ton. You know, we might run the ball a ton this year. And next year, when we get these other picks, as we start to put these pieces together, that gift of what he can do will start to unfold more and more and more. And that, I think, is what's so promising about this new staff, about them being all in and the future of the Bears. I just see that there's no limit to where we can go if we make the right decisions.
Ryan also talked about we have to run the football to set up play action. He said, it's not, we've got to throw the ball all over the stadium. He said, yeah, you got to be able to throw the football. He said, I know better than anyone, having had Patrick Mahomes, but he said, play action will set everything else up. We didn't see a lot of that with Matt Nagy. Why?
Because he didn't listen. He didn't watch our show very much.
No, he
didn't
not
listen to our show. Because that's all we talked.
He didn't like us very much.
That's what we talked about, you know. And if we do run the ball, when you talk about, you know, having all these or drafting all these offensive linemen in the mid to late rounds, one of the things that are going to help with the development of these offensive linemen is running the ball, and not having to be to contend with having to backpedal in pass protection without help, especially in a 5-man protection for 60, 70 snaps a game. Give yourself push forward, keep the score low, and give yourselves a chance in all of these games. I think that's more important than anything else.
I wanted to ask you about Roquan Smith because I was talking to Alex Brown last night, and we both said Lance Briggs belongs in the Hall of Fame, and we believe at some point you will be in the Hall of Fame. How do you compare yourself to Roquan Smith as a linebacker?
I think Roquan is. I think he's faster. He's probably a more complete linebacker than I was. You know, I think from the point of attack, I'm probably more physical than he is. You know, we play in different times. You know, it's a different time and different set of rules that he plays with than I did when I played. But being able to watch him, because right now he's a natural weak side linebacker in this defense. So, you know, I'll probably be his biggest fan and his biggest critic moving forward, because I know exactly where he needs to be and when he needs to be there. So he's been fun to watch because he's all over the place. And in Chicago, you know, whether you're on the field or off the field, you want to see great linebacker play. It's a staple of Chicago. And he's done a great job of carrying that torch.
Last thing, Ryan Poles said, yeah, we're not in a complete rebuild. We're just renovating some rooms. So I ask you, what rooms of the house do you feel like, oh, those rooms are pretty good?
Well, on paper with this draft, see, this is a tough one, Kat, because I don't want to say this without seeing guys perform. But right. On paper, I like the defensive back room right now. You know, we went from I really like the defensive line room of last year to I like the defensive back room this year. You know, there are more question marks on the defensive line right now on paper than there are in the defensive back room. Okay. The linebacker room, you know, in this defensive scheme, I really do think we need to find a 6'4" middle linebacker. You know, I think that's going to be an area that we get picked on in the deep middle. If we don't, you go back to the days of Barrett in the middle of the Indianapolis Colts, who was a 5'11" linebacker, and the Colts were getting picked on in that cover 2 scheme. So, you know, and you look at the Buffalo Bills, Buffalo Bills who have Edmonds, and he's a 6'4", 6'5" guy in the middle. And that, you know, just having that presence. I played with a guy at 6'4", 6'5" in Urlacher who took away that middle, that one of the weak spots in the cover 2. So I think that's something that they didn't necessarily address this year, and they can address next year. You know, that's one of the things that I think they're going to have to fix.
Yeah, it's a huge year for Cole Kmet. This is make or break.
Big time.
Big time. Wide receiver room, running back room, it's fine.
Yeah.
The offensive line room, the front 7, without Akeem Hicks, who's still out there as a free agent, I don't know why you wouldn't bring him back.
There's still time. There's still time. You know, who knows what the future holds until he signs that piece of paper, that contract with whomever he decides to sign it with. Hopefully it's back with the Bears. But you're right. I think the other group, it would be the running backs. You know, you can't have a frown when you think about Montgomery. I watched a lot of this tailback from Baylor in college, and I was really impressed with his hard-nosed running style. I really do. You know, he catches the ball extremely well out of the backfield, but I think he keeps those legs churning. So there's some excitement. We have a ways to go, and I think it's going to be one game at a time.
All right, I'm looking forward to football after show. We'll get the gang back together.
Can't wait. Can't wait.
Hey, man, have a great day.
You got it. All right,
appreciate you. That's Lance Briggs. That'll wrap up our look at the state of the Chicago Bears.